Buddy, you know what you need on your lodging rag?
Large plain red cheese chili.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to Tori Zell for shooting this on the Samsung Galaxy 7. The brats are back in town, yeah, and this sauerkraut's got mustard mixed in it. That's what makes it so good. He's working for Food Heat John Parado, FanRag Sports, and just about everything else that is baseball. Getting ready to hit the road to cover the postseason and the World Series.
Let's eat first.
Go ahead. You're allowed.
Let's get our priorities.
You can chew, I'll talk. Blue Jays, they sent out Aaron Sanchez, their ace in the final game of the regular season. They've got Happ and they've got Stroman. Was that a good idea as they get ready for the wild card?
Yeah, I think so, because playing in Rogers Center is very intimidating, especially the roof will be closed. It'll be October in Ontario, a night game. Before the roof, that being closed, the sound stays in, and the crowd will be really loud there in Toronto. And I think it was worth it to make sure they were home instead of playing ball.
What's Baltimore bring to the table?
Hitting, a lot of power hitting. I mean, they have a lot of guys up and down the lineup can break the game open with one swing, so you have to navigate through that lineup very, very carefully. But they don't have a lot of speed. They don't have a lot of guys that get on base a lot, but they do have guys that hit it out of the park, and that's covered up for a multitude of sins, including a fairly weak starting pitching rotation.
Listen, you were the first to report the Pirates possibly would consider Andrew McCutchen as trade bait during the offseason for maybe a top-flight pitcher. You said it a month ago. I don't know if I've scooped you or not, but you're actually closing your eyes after a 20-hour day yesterday. Dave Stewart, Chip Hale are out in Arizona, and Barry Bonds within the hour trending he's been let go as the hitting coach in Miami. I hate to see that happen for Barry Bonds. I know 27 homers for the team, not enough for a power hitter, but I've said this many times. Great players sometimes have a hard time teaching because what they did came natural to them. Just some thoughts about Barry Bonds.
I was a little surprised about Bonds because when the Marlins were here in early August, the only indications I got when they played here in Pittsburgh were that they were happy with the work he'd done, even though they weren't near the top of the run score. Certainly Christian Yelich, their left fielder, had a career year, and he attributed a lot of it to the work he'd done with Bonds, not just mechanically, but the schematic part of the game, which Barry was very, very good at. I think a lot of people never gave him enough credit for that, how smart of a player he was on top of being a physically gifted player. Miami is never a stable organization, though. There's always something going on with the Marlins, and I guess this is their way of shaking things up. And I'd be curious what Barry's reaction is to this, because when I talked to him, this was just 2 months ago, not even quite 2 months ago, he seemed to really, really enjoy the job. So I don't think it's a case that he didn't want to do it anymore. I mean, as they announced that he's been fired, not that he resigned. So I don't know. There's certainly more to the story than I know right now. It just has kind of come up here in the last couple of hours. But a bit of a surprise. I mean, on all indications I had, he was coming back for another year.
Kurt Gibson, they were replaying his 88 homer in the World Series because of Vin Scully's retirement. Dick Enberg also retiring over the weekend. I think of Kurt Gibson also, his time behind the bench with Arizona, had some success. But since then, it seems like they just can't get it together in the desert. What's up with that?
Yeah, it's been tough. Kurt has MS, and that kind of affected his last year when he was diagnosed with that. His last year with the Diamondbacks. And it's just a weird organization. Chip Hale came in last year, and they did a really nice job, and I thought he was the guy to get them turned around. Then they made some really questionable moves in the offseason. They traded for Shelby Miller, which I thought was going to be a good trade, but turned out not to be. They signed Zach Greinke for a $206 million contract. He didn't pitch like the ace that he's been throughout his career. Now Dave Stewart's out, Chip Hale's out, and it's going to be interesting how an organization in which the owner won the 50-50 drawing 3 different times this year at Chase Field is going to proceed now, because we know that his biggest interest in life is not the Diamondbacks, but West Virginia University football. And if he can down in the middle of WVU football season, I don't know how engaged he'll be in hiring a new GM and a manager.
The Mets playing host to San Francisco. We know this man, all too well, Madison Bumgarner. He's gonna be hard to stop. I mean, it's going to
probably, yeah. Him and Noah Syndergaard, they might be nothing in the 20th inning in the wild card game at the way it goes. It's going to be a great matchup. Bumgarner pitched great 2 years ago, but the Pirates didn't send anybody nearly the caliber of Noah Syndergaard out. With all due respect to our old buddy Eddie Volquez, not Noah Syndergaard, and And it'd be a great matchup. It's truly a marquee matchup, and I think when Major League Baseball went to this second wild card in a one-game playoff, this is what they kind of hoped for. A game like this, a truly outstanding pitching matchup with both team seasons on the line. So it'll be a lot of fun right out of the gate in the National League side of the play.
Brighton Hot Dog Shop, just a few more moments. FanRag Sports and just about everything, as I said earlier, that is baseball. John Pratte, Boston, David Price, 31 years of age, is a lefty. Going to have a chance to shine and earn his money. What do you think about him in the postseason for Boston?
Well, he's 2-7 lifetime with a 5.12 ERA, and the heat has gotten to him. You know, the funny thing is, his first year, if you recall, 2008, when the Rays went to the World Series, they used him on the bullpen because it was his first full year, and they didn't want to rush to push him any more innings. And he was phenomenal out of the bullpen in short stints in that October, but he hasn't pitched well since. And I think that's part of the reason why the Red Sox, although they will, they're pitching in game 2 instead of game 1. They're starting off with Rick Porcello, who won 22 games in game 1, even though on talent level, I take David Price any day of the week over Porcello. And that kind of tells you what the Red Sox think, because they have to be hedging their bets a little bit on Price's postseason history by lining him up in game 2 against the Indians in the American League Division Series.
All right, Cole Hamel. I used to love him when he was in the National League. He's with Texas now. Tell me about him. Why has he found new life? First time around, honeymoon, what is it?
Well, I think what happened last year when he got traded at the end of July is, he'd come up with the Phillies when they were very good. He was the MVP of the World Series in 2008. It's on teams his first 5 years in the big leagues. They won division titles every year. Then the Phillies took a turn for the worse. And, I think especially when you're used to winning from the time you begin your career, then all of a sudden your team starts to lose. And I think it's hard to accept. And I think, I'm not saying dogged or anything, but I think it's just kind of natural that you kind of get down a little bit, and maybe your performance isn't as good as it used to be, and especially when you don't have a good team around you. He went to Texas, went to a good team, and just caught fire, and he won, I think, all but one of his starts last year. And, I know he struggled a little bit at times this year, but on the whole, he's been that number one starter they needed, and he's the type of guy who really likes to pitch on the big stage, really enjoys it, really likes big games, and he's so remember in 2008 how he basically carried the Phillies to the World Series championship that year. That's the way he pitched, and he's capable of doing it again with the Rangers this year. And that's why, I don't think the Rangers, even though they had the best record in the American League, I'm not so sure they're the best team in the American League, top to bottom. But he certainly gives them a chance to get to the World Series and win it all if he gets hot as he did 8 years ago.
One more thing about the American League, then we just quickly take a look at the National League. Cleveland, they say they've got no horses as far as the front end of their starting rotation, but they're a tough out, meaning their lineup. What do you think about the Tribe's chances with Terry Francona as their manager?
Well, it's funny, Rob, if you'd asked me this at the beginning of the season, I'd have said, well, I love their starting rotation. I don't know if their offense will be very good, and if they would have a chance to win it, get to the postseason and win it all because of their pitching. But now they have Carlos Carrasco's hurt, Danny Salazar probably going to be able to pitch out of the bullpen, but not healthy enough to pitch as a starter. That leaves them with Corey Kluber. There's Ace, who also left his last start with a quad strain, but they think he'll be okay. And Trevor Bauer and Josh Tomlin, whether that's going to be enough, I don't know. That they have a great bullpen. They go to the bullpen early if they need to. But their offense has been good. They were second in the American League in runs scored, and I'm still not quite sure how. When I've been looking at that lineup, how they did it. But, Terry Francona is a master of putting guys in the right places, finding the right matchups for players. And I wouldn't count them out just because of Terry. I don't think they have the best team necessarily when it comes to personnel. But I do think that he will use his personnel in such the right way because he has so much postseason managerial experience from those years in Boston. I don't think you can count them out even with the injuries.
You're good. God, you're good. All right, quickly, Steven Strasburg, elbow out for the divisional championship. Just how much does that mean? Or is that going to hurt Washington?
I think it definitely hurts Washington. I mean, because you have Max Scherzer, of course, who probably will win the National League Cy Young. You have him lined up to pitch 2 games. They're really going to count on Tanner Roark, who normally would be your number 3 starter. Now he becomes the number 2. And they really have nobody beyond that, Rob, that you can really count on. Gio Gonzalez is a left-hander who's had success in the past. He's really struggled this year, particularly in the second half. You know, you may see a lot of a kid that we saw here in Pittsburgh a week and a half ago, Reynaldo Lopez, who came out of the bullpen on that Saturday game here at PNC Park when the Nationals clinched the National League East and pitched 5 1/3 scoreless innings out of the bullpen. You may see him in long reliefs in the series against the Dodgers, and hesitate not to say the Dodgers and Blackmouth High School graduate, left-hand reliever Adam Libator. Adam, if you're out there, return my call.
Okay. He's busy, but we will make sure that he does. Okay, now, speaking of the Dodgers, does Clayton Kershaw exercise his postseason demons?
Great question. He's sort of the David Price of the National League. It's hard to believe a guy who is as good as he is, and with all due respect to David Price, Clayton Kershaw is even better.
Oh, yeah.
That he has struggled as much as he has in the postseason. I don't know if he puts too much pressure on himself. I mean, obviously, the competition you face in the postseason is best for playing on the team, so that has something to do with it. But I don't know. I would like to think so. I mean, I just think he's invincible, and I think almost anybody in baseball would say if you had to pick one pitcher to win a game for you, who would it be? It would be Clayton Kershaw. But until he does it, it's hard to say for sure.
Who's this Jock Peterson guy for the Dodgers?
Well, he came up through their farm system, had a really good first half last year, then he really struggled in the second half, and there was a lot of question whether he'd make the team in spring training or have to go back to AAA. He's come back with a vengeance this year. He's got some power, a lot of power, and pretty good defensive player, and pretty good speed too, even though he hasn't stolen a lot of bases this year. But you know, he's a really talented kid, and a chance to, you know, between him and Corey Seager, who the shortstop will almost certainly win the National League Rookie of the Year, gives the Dodgers a chance to be good for many years to come, especially when you factor in their unlimited source of money that they seem to have to pour into the payroll. Which Adam Libator has tapped into that too.
He deserves it. He deserves it. All right, listen, we're going to wrap up on the Cubs, who many people think it will be Cubs win, Cubs win. Haven't won the pennant since '45. You just reminded me because of your knowledge they haven't won a World Series since '08. And you think of Jake Arrieta and John Lackey, who was looking for work last year. He's got to be glad he found work in Chicago. Jason Hayward going to be a big reason why I think they're going to win it all. And, of course, we both agree that Joe Madden may be right now, not even arguably, the best in the business. So wrap it up on the Cubs.
Well, they seemingly have everything you want. The lineup, top to bottom, is strong. They have a good, great bench. They have a bunch of guys that can play multiple positions. They have a starting rotation. We've got 3 guys that you would consider aces. John Lester, Jake Arrieta, Kyle Hendricks. You mentioned John Lackey. I mean, you're going to find a better number 4 starter in the playoffs than him, I don't think. The bullpen was a little bit shaky. They went out and got possibly the best closer in the game and Aroldis Chapman in a trade from the Yankees. Now they got Hector Rondon and Pedro Strop, setting him up in the late innings.
And you like Joe Madden, don't you?
I think Joe Madden, with all due respect to our friend, the New Brighton native Terry Francona, I think Joe is the best manager in baseball, both in the dugout with the way he maneuvers his team, in the clubhouse with the way he keeps things loose. I mean, there should be all the pressure in the world on this team. They haven't won a World Series in 106, 108 years. But yet, they're in Pittsburgh this last week now. They're laughing and joking, and they're wearing their football jerseys on the road trip. And they don't have a care in the world. And they mean it. I don't think it was like a facade or a front. I mean, it was Anthony Rizzo, the first baseman. I asked him, I said, do you feel pressure? Because there's a lot of people that say, well, you know, everything you did, if you don't win a World Series, it really wasn't a great year. And he goes, we had pressure from day one. Everybody was in spring training the first day of camp. All the national media going, are you going to win it all this year? He said, we've been asked that all year. He said, we're way past worrying about it. And he goes, we've gone on and had the best record in Major League Baseball. There you go.
FanRag Sports, please check him out. You can eat, munch. Good night from the Brighton Hot Dog Shop.